I think all of us would accept we've been somewhat desensitized to the level of violence we've seen over the past decade or two. Things have certainly ramped up. Now a murder in London is barely even a story. These things are so common. But every now and again, even in these crazy violent times, something happens which is so awful, it makes me wonder if I should even cover it. So if you are feeling a bit tender today or don't want to see horrible news, you might want to sit this one out. For those of you that are going to watch on, this should come with a trigger warning. It is a particularly horrible story. Another quick precursor to Starmer's censors. I'm not covering this because I want to hate any group. I'm not advising any riots on the back of things like this. I think it's important we face the reality of what's going on in modern Britain. It's better to do that than ignoring it. Ignoring it makes things a lot worse down the line. So I did actually pick up on this story a while ago when the court case was going on. As you know, you can't really report on stories while there's an active court case. I was a bit nervous to do so because you know what our present government are like. They'll come down on you like a ton of bricks if you can say the most mild thing that they may not like against one of our new arrivals. But as you can see on your screen, an NHS worker has died after being repeatedly orally raped while unconscious on a park bench. And the Daily Mail reported yesterday that a man has been convicted of manslaughter for this awful crime. Apparently jurors at the Old Bailey wept as they were shown horrifying footage of the attack carried out by a 35-year-old Mohammed Noor Edow. Now you can go and read the full report on the Daily Mail website if you want. The reason I'm not doing so is some of the details are absolutely horrible and you just don't really need to know them if you don't want to. But what I do believe is as harrowing these things are to read and watch, and especially the regularity that these things come these days, people do have to be aware of them. They need to see there are real problems going on out there. It's not just because we're evil and racist and angry, it's because people are sick to the back teeth of reading disgusting things like this on almost a weekly basis now. And I'm sure the left-wing media, the liberal media, the BBCs of the world will just ignore this story, and if it does come to light, they'll call you racist for even acknowledging it. Just say that you hate people who have a different skin colour and so on and so on. And to be clear, I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong about this, but it seems to me that crimes of this nature, where a woman, a mother of three, is passed out on a bench and is orally raped to death, are a level of savagery that we haven't normally seen in the UK. And again, to the censors, does that mean I blame every migrant that's come here, every person who's not originally British? Of course not. I know there are many good people in different groups, but there are problems inside of these groups. There are people coming here from parts of the world who have a very savage understanding of how life works. Again, you can get upset with me and blame me and people who think like me for simply noticing these things, but that's not a solution to what's going on. These crimes are absolutely savage and something needs to be done about it, otherwise everything is going to collapse around us. Now, as we have to tragically often do to sum up how bad this is, imagine if this was the other way around. If some supposedly white supremacist, evil, EDL, far-right type did this to some minority girl, how would the media report that? It would be evil, it would be racist, they'd be a victim of far-right extremism and so on. And again, whatever the background and ethnicity of the victim and the perpetrator, these crimes are unforgivable and appalling. Yet when it seems to be someone who's coming from the third world doing this to a helpless woman, we're supposed to just forget. The guy's in jail now, don't think about it again. Don't be racist and evil. Now, as I say, I've got no desire to be quote-unquote hateful. However, I do think that it's only fair to start putting these awful murders and crimes down to the results from mass immigration. Our political elite have enforced that on us despite us asking again and again not to have it, and they've let in people who are extremely dangerous. Why is this man in the country? Why hasn't he been vetted? Look what he's gone and done. It's not us who wanted this. It's you people who've brought them in, and then you'll call us all sorts of names under the sun if we notice what's going on. Now, as I say, I strongly advise against any form of violence or sending angry tweets about this. I can understand people are upset, but if you do so, you become the bad guy. The story becomes, look at the evil far right. And again, the real problems that are going on in the UK are ignored once more. In closing, what will our system actually do now? Obviously, they don't want us to talk about it again. They'll call you evil if you even mention it. Second to that, he hasn't been sentenced yet, but what will he get? 10 years out in 4? And will he be deported? I highly doubt it. Let's be honest, he'll probably be out again prowling the streets in a few years. Seems to me with crimes such as these, it warrants the return of the death penalty. And finally as well, do you think any of our mainstream Labour politicians or the liberal media is going to talk about how the native population is scared for their daughters, about what might happen to them if they go on a night out and have too many drinks in London? Of course not. They don't ever seem to be that bothered about that, do they? Anyway, these are just my thoughts. Do let me know your thoughts on this appalling situation down below. Do consider subscribing to the channel.